are just a few short months away from arguably the most important election of our lifetime. And as you already know, the mainstream news propaganda is in full effect. They're in full swing mode in the crunch time to decide the next 4 years of the country. And so ABC's anchor news host George Stephanopoulos, who hosted this week, had Byron Daniels on. I believe that's the guy's name. He's from the Republican Party. Yes, his name is Byron Donald. Byron Donald. He had him on this week to talk about, the Trump campaign, and mainly it had nothing to do with the Trump campaign or talk about policies or political issues that are affecting the middle class. It had more stuff to do with Kamala Harris and the fact of her identity. Is she black? Is she Indian? Let's take a look at how this interview went down.
And you just repeated the slur again. If it doesn't matter, why do you all keep questioning her identity? She's always identified as a black woman. She is biracial. She has a Jamaican father and an Indian mother. She's always identified as both. Why are you questioning that?
No one's questioning that, though.
Well, George, first of all, this is something that's actually a conversation throughout social media right now. There are a lot of people who are trying to figure this out. But again, that's a side issue, not the main issue.
Yes.
The main issue.
Sir, 1 second. You just did it. You just did it again.
Of the United States.
Why do you insist on questioning her racial identity?
But see, this is the bullshit. Nobody's questioning her racial identity but him. Byron is trying to talk about the issues, policies, the stuff that is affecting the American people, the American middle class that is suffering. He wants to talk inflation. He wants to talk policies. He wants to talk immigration. But this man, George Stephanopoulos, interrupted this man to continue to identity politics and race bait him. Oh, why you question Kamala Harris's blackness or her ethnicity? He's the only one that's doing that. He's trying to stir away from the conversation and talk about something important. You see how these people race bait, how they use tactics to identity politics to get you people, to mind control, to manipulate you people, to just vote based off emotion and not facts or feelings. This is what ABC does. This is what MSNBC does. This is what the left, liberal, woke news propaganda do. This is what they do. They never talk policies. They never talk about shit that's important. They find something controversial and they run with it. Fear-mongering, identity politics, and race bait are the three main agendas in every political race. It's never about the issues. It's about those things.
Want me to talk?
I want you to answer my question.
He did answer the. See, that's
George,
the thing.
now
He
that
did
you're
answer
done-
his fucking question. He said, "Okay, that's a side issue. Well, let's talk about something important." And then he goes back to the same question that he asked him because he didn't get the sound bite that he wanted to further push the agenda to say that, look, Donald Trump is more focused about Kamala Harris blackness than the most important thing, and that's the issues related to the fucking middle class, related to the American people. This is what these people do. George Stephanopoulos, look that motherfucker right there, looking dumb in the face. This is what these people do, guys. Wake up. It's never about issues. It's always identity politics and race bait.
Yelling at me, let me answer. He talked about it on the stage yesterday in Atlanta for 2 minutes?
Yes, and also not to mention too, Donald Trump was asked that question about Kamala Harris. He didn't say, oh, I don't think Kamala Harris, is black. He didn't flat out come out and say that. He was asked that question on the NABJ host. He was asked that question. And he said, well, now I don't think that she's black because before I always identified and said that she was Indian. Now they're trying to run with it and trying to, again, portray the propaganda, portray the narrative that Donald Trump is a racist. This is what race baiting is all about, identity politics. They never focus about the issues. They always focus about controversy to create fear-mongering, then to create you guys to vote for them. Well, they will never do anything for you while they're in power. This is how politics goes. This is how the Democrats, the wokeness, the left propaganda goes. It is the disgusting campaign tactic, and they're all aligned on this.
He spent more than 40 minutes going after her record. Talking about how radical of a senator that she was. She was the most liberal senator in the United States, in the United States Senate. That is a fact. He talked about the job that she did as vice president of the United States. A job, I will add, which has been a failure for the American people. I know you guys like to glom on to this that he talks about in jest or in a serious manner for about a minute or so, but what you do not cover is the litany of failures of Kamala Harris.
Yes, and they will never cover it. They will never cover it because they're told not to cover it, because they have left liberal propaganda agenda. They will never talk about Kamala Harris' record as a politician. They will never talk about her disaster as the border czar. They even trying to cover up that she was the border czar. They will never talk about the fact that under her and Biden's power, inflation has went through a record roof. The American middle class is struggling. They have helped out more illegal immigrants than its own residents. People are paying more in taxes. The middle class is getting hit quadruple times in taxes than the rich are. The poor are getting poorer. People cannot simply afford to live, but they don't want to talk about that. They have no policies what's in place to help the middle class. They have no policies what's in place to bring back manufacturing jobs that were outsourced under the Biden-Harris administration. They have no policies in place to help reduce and stop the crooked, corrupt corporations that are price gouging. They have no policies in place to stop all these foreign affairs and stop us giving all this billions of dollars to Ukraine. They have no policies in place whatsoever. It's all about identity politics and race baiting. That is what they're going off of the election. It's never about issues. It's never about policies. It's all about identity politics and race baiting. This is disgusting by ABC.
That's what you're not covering, George.
So questioning somebody's racial identity for a couple minutes is okay?
He's still stuck in the question. He's still stuck in that question. He can't get past that question. He cannot get past that question. He's trying to get a soundbite so that they can run with it. They say, look, don't vote for Donald Trump because he don't think Kamala Harris is black. It's never about the issues. It's always about racism. Oh, Lord. Here we go again.
George, I'm going to tell you again, he brought it up. AP is the one that wrote the headline when she first came in to the United States Senate. Didn't talk about her being black, talked about her being the first Indian American senator. AP brought that up. I mean, George, we could have this conversation for the entire segment, but none of this matters to the American people. What matters to the American people is, are we going to have the same policies of the Biden-Harris administration that has been destructive of the American people? Or are we going to have the policies of the Trump administration, which put America first, had low inflation, prosperous Americans, no matter your race, no matter your color, no matter your creed, and a foreign policy that kept America safe? Those are the facts that truly matter, because this issue is going to come and go. The lives of the American people is what's going to remain, and that's what matters more than anything else.
If it doesn't matter, I don't understand why you keep on repeating it, why the president keeps on repeating it.
But that's the thing. Nobody repeating it but him. Nobody is repeating about Kamala Harris' racial identity but him, but George Stephanopoulos specifically. This man, Byron Donald, said, I'm not talking about this shit. I'm talking about issues that are important, policies that we are trying to put in place, policies that will directly impact the middle class, the hard-working class, that directly affects this economy. This man has asked that man 3 different same questions about Kamala Harris and her racial identity that Trump said. He has been stuck on that question since the interview started. This is what George Stephanopoulos and ABC does. He has asked the same question 3 different fucking times. And Byron Donald's like, listen, I'm not going to answer that same question. I already did that. Are we going to talk about issues or what? Because you're stuck on her race. I'm stuck on issues, policies, things that will matter come election time that people are going to look forward to help them out. This is what these fucking people do. I'm not surprised. But if you don't know no better, you're going to watch and say, oh my God, look at the Republican class. They refuse to, say that Kamala Harris is black. We don't give a fuck if she's black, if she's Indian, she's brown, she's purple. We don't care about your race, your gender, your identity, your sexuality. We don't give a fuck about that. We are trying to make things better for the whole population in general. That's it. We don't care about your race. ABC cares more about Kamala Harris' race than Donald Trump does. But they're going to try to flip it and say, look, Donald Trump only cares about Kamala Harris' race. This is what these people do. It's manipulation to its fine art.
Why those introducing the president yesterday
George, actually, I'm not the one who keeps repeating it. George, you're the one that's bringing it up now.
You've done it. Sir, you've done it.
He fucking repeated himself like 3-4 times. He repeated the same thing, the same question 3 or 4 times.
You've done it 3 times. Every single answer you gave me now.
No, actually, George, you have done that the same 3 or 4 times. You have done that the same 3 or 4 times. Not Donald. You have done that shit the same 3 or 4 times. But you're trying to flip it, trying to gaslight it, while this man is stirring away from the question and wants to talk about shit that's important.
Let me finish, sir.
George,
every single answer you gave, you repeated the slur.
Asked me, George. That's why I'm pushing back on you now. George, you asked me the question 3 times. I responded, but
and every single time you repeat the slur. That is exactly my point.
You see, Byron Donald, he has a lot more, tolerance than I do, because I would have ended this video right there. If I have to answer the question more than 3 times, twice, and I gave you the same answer to the same question that you asked me, and you keep pushing back, trying to look for a different answer, I'm going to end the interview because clearly you're trying to look for something controversial. Clearly, you're not doing your job as a credible journalist. Your job as a journalist is to get the facts out there. Journalism is non-existent in mainstream news. It's all propaganda. It's all opinionated. It's all favoritism. Let me tell you guys this. Everybody who's watching Olympics, they had record 31 million viewers at average. I have seen so many back-to-back consistent Kamala Harris ads. I have not seen one ad on NBC on the entire Olympics about Donald Trump. I have not seen one Donald Trump ad on NBC that has been played throughout the 3 weeks that the Olympics was happening. But I see countless continuous Kamala Harris ads. That is not journalism. That is clear favoritism. That is clear who they're telling you. We want this lady to be the next president of the United States, and we're going to continue to push as hard as we can, as much as we can, this propaganda to make sure that she is sitting as the chief operator of this office, as the head woman in charge of this office come November. That's what they're trying to do. They have played non-stop Kamala Harris ads on NBC's channel throughout the Olympics. I have not seen one Donald Trump ad on that network at all. Clear favoritism at its finest. You cannot be any more clear who are they trying to push, who they clearly want to be the next president of the United States. That's what it is. Journalism is non-existent right now in these mainstream news articles, in these mainstream news networks. It's all propaganda, stereotype, and favoritism. That's it.
You simply can't say that it's wrong.
George, so then what you're saying, and I want to get off this topic because it's not the only thing that's going on. But George, now you're saying that AP is the one that slurred Kamala Harris, because those are the facts. Yes. You can go to the internet and look at the clips, George, if you want to, or we can talk about
Kamala Harris has said that she had never stated that she was black until now. AP wrote an article when she first became senator, said that she was the first Indian senator. Now all of a sudden you can't find that. No, I don't give a fuck about what Kamala Harris identifies as, but we're seeing the chameleon that she's playing. She now all of a sudden wants to be black to try to get the black vote, but it will try to push out the black vote once all these illegal immigrants finish crossing this country. You give them citizenship, you give them documentation so that they could vote to keep the Democrats in power. That's their end game. But again, that's what George Stephanopoulos keeps pushing: race bait identity politics.
Now, I prefer to talk about the future of our country,
yes,
because the American people are struggling.
Yes.
The American people need serious policy decisions to be made, and they need serious leadership on the world stage. Kamala Harris has not proven that she can do that. Donald J. Trump has proven that he can do that.
AP did not say that Kamala Harris is not black. She is biracial. She is Indian. She is black. You continue to repeat the fact that you continue to repeat the slur. I don't understand why you and the president do it, but it's clear you're not going to say that it's wrong. And you've now established that for our audience.
Yeah. George Stephanopoulos is a fucking disgrace to not only journalism, but just on reporting the facts. It's clear favoritism. It's clear bullshit. It's clear BS. You cannot make this any more egregious than it already has. But let me know what you guys think about this interaction between George Stephanopoulos and Byron Donald. Do you agree, disagree with my commentary? Leave your comments down below. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me know who you will be voting for in the 2024 election. I already know who I'm voting for. Who will you be voting for? Peace.